Hello and welcome to Kitco Mining with me, Paul Harris, here in Dawson in Yukon, Canada at the Yukon Mining Investment Conference. This morning we're talking about development stage projects and I have great pleasure to be joined by Matt Turner, President and CEO of Rockhaven Resources. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Paul. Nice to see you.
Good to see you again. Let's start with a very sort of brief one-liner overview of the company and your project.
Yeah, okay, so Rockhaven owns the Claza project. It's a gold-silver project that has a high-grade resource estimate of about 1.6 million ounces gold equivalent at about 5 grams gold equivalent. We have a PEA out that was relatively recent, done in 2020. Post-tax NPV of 378 million and post-tax IRR of 37%. So yeah, good economic numbers. And now we've done about 20-some thousand meters of drilling over the last 2 years to convert as many of the remaining inferred ounces in that resource estimate into indicated, and we're going to take that indicated into the PFS. So
okay, and you're working on a PFS, a pre-feasibility study. How's that going? You said you're obviously converting a lot of resources. Yeah. What are the things you have to do or have yet to complete before you can publish that PFS?
Yeah, I guess two big things. Really, I guess three before we take it to the engineers, formally take it to the engineers for the PFS. The one is the updated resource estimate. So taking, again, all of the last couple of years worth of drilling and put it into build. We built a new block model. Now we're going through the resource estimation. The cutoffs on that resource estimation need the metallurgy done on it. So we have the old metallurgy. Over the last 2 years, we collected basically all the vein samples from that infill drilling, and we sent it to the lab, and we've been doing the PFS level met test work for the last couple of months now. So those results are going to go into the cutoffs for the resource, and recoveries obviously for the PFS. And then we've got a number of trade-off studies that we'll be working on basically when the metallurgy is done before we take it to the engineer. So a lot on the go right now. It's been a crazy summer. Again, we're in July right now. We've got no drilling going on at site right now, but it's pretty busy right now for Rockhaven. So.
As a CEO managing that process, I mean, a lot has changed in the last couple of years compared to from 2020 when you did the PEA. Yeah. You know, metals prices are at relatively good levels, yeah. But the cost aspects of cost inflation of labor, inputs, that must be quite a challenge to manage that and to put the line in the sand about where you want things in the study to be able to come out with a new set of numbers.
No, it's interesting that you bring that up because we are obviously fighting inflation on especially if we're just say focused on our CapEx, for example. One of the neat things that we have, maybe you can say in our back pocket here, is the fact that our metal prices will have increased significantly, like you say. And how that's going to play in with the split between open pit mining, open pit resources as opposed to underground resources. Because in the PEA, there was a lot of ounces that were looked at as being underground, some of which basically come right to surface. So really low-hanging fruit. So we're eagerly awaiting to see on the back of this resource estimate, which will again have pit constrained versus underground ounces. But the proof in the pudding is when they do the actual formal economics on it and see how that all plays out. Again, with respect to what's going to be looked at as open pit and what will be underground. And again, we kind of already know the costs associated with that. It's basically $5 a ton for open pit mining costs as opposed to $55 a ton for underground. So if we can move a number of those open pit, a lot of those open or underground tons in open pit, it's going to, I think, at least help offset that cost inflation that we'll be fighting. Okay,
and what's the potential timeline on delivering the PFS?
Good question. It's, again, there's a lot of balls in the air right now, so I hate to give an exact date and because things can change, but right now it's looking more like a Q1 2024 for that. So okay. In all reality, but
thank you, Matt. Let's talk a little bit about capital markets because it's at the moment it's a very, very difficult market for junior gold explorers, perhaps even worse for the developers. So I guess that's another aspect you have to balance because companies that have put out resource updates and economic studies in the past few months have either elicited no interest or it's been a selling moment in time for some shareholders. So that must be a bit of a concern. What's your experience of what's happening in the capital markets?
I've been in this industry now for about 25 years, a little bit over, I guess. So I've gone through a few of these cycles. This one for our story is maybe a bit unique in that, like, when you look at, even if you just look at the 2020 PEA and the economics on that, and compare that to our market cap, which last week we were at about 12 million Canadian, which is insane for a project that, again, is nearing about 400 million post-tax NPV. Again, a little bit of an outdated study, and it's going to be changing as we go into PFS, obviously. But, that price to NAV ratio is at about a 0.035 or what, you know what I mean? Like, it's insane. If you start looking at the sensitivity analysis and the metal prices that they gave us a plus 20%, which I think equated to about 1740 US per ounce, and that was I think 540 million post-tax NPV. So then you're flirting with like a 0.02 price to NAV ratio, which is insane. So I think for us, I think we actually have a really good chance if we can get similar economic numbers or maybe even better based on the increased metal prices, then I feel like we've got a really good chance of going up and not just going sideways with respect to our share price.
A lot of development stage companies, their ultimate aim is to be acquired by a bigger company, but I imagine that's not something you really want to contemplate at the moment, given your market cap is so low that your share price is so low. You want to hold any potential suitors at arm's length.
Exactly. Yeah, if you get offered a 30% increase on $12 million, it's not much of a, especially considering we put about $50 million into Claza, moving it ahead. We discovered it in 2010, and basically every year except for 2018 and 2023 now, we won't have drills turning. So we put a lot of, 130,000 meters of drilling, 20-some thousand meters of trenching, lots of different other surveys to get the project to where it's at. We're not looking for selling the company at these prices, that's for sure.
So you're in the phase, you're not drilling at the moment, so you don't have that news flow. And as you mentioned, the PFS may be the first quarter next year. So are there going to be any sort of catalysts between now and the end of the year that you can sort of press release and make public?
Yeah, I'd say the first one will be the metallurgy. So that'll be the first one to look out for. The next one, which we're still discussing in-house about if we're going to put it out as a separate news release or put it into the PFS, but that's the resource estimate. The fact that we're trading at 5 cents a share probably means we're going to have to put out the resource estimate just to, again, it's not, you just have to pay a bit more money for a tech report on top of that. That's the only kind of, cost savings, I guess, if you leave it for the PFS, for the formal study. But it's looking like just to at least, demonstrate to the market that, we've got stuff going on and, we're not sitting on our hands at all, right? We've got a lot going on. So, and then as well too, the market will be able to see where we'd be at on the resource side of things, right? And, at least that gives them something to run with. So.
Okay. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. Matt Turner, President and CEO of Rockhaven Resources. Stay tuned to Kitco Mining for more from the Yukon Mining Investment Conference.